Ukraine says it remains committed to ending violence in the nation's east, but that pro-Russia militants are not keeping their end of the deal. It's been almost 2 weeks since an agreement was made in Geneva, and the situation seems to be getting worse. In the last 36 hours, pro-Russia militants have seized several government buildings in the city of Luhansk, while in the Donetsk region, about 40 people, including journalists and 7 European military observers, are being held hostage.
Karen Springs is an American who has lived in Ukraine for nearly 10 years. She runs CBN's Orphan Promise Ministry in Kiev. She spoke with our senior international reporter, George Thomas, about what life is like living through the political turmoil.
Great to have you on the show. Is anti-Semitism real in Ukraine today?
I think that it's definitely been something that the Russian government has tried to produce as propaganda. Multiple reports that I have heard, people have said that they've never felt any anti-Semitism in recent history of Ukraine until these leaflets that were passed out in Donetsk had gone out. And then we've all heard that that was kind of just a small group of people that had done that. So I think by and large, the Jewish community has not felt.
And in fact, the chief rabbi of Kiev has come out in essence saying, listen, saying to the Russians, don't use us as a pawn for your grander agenda, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's been a media thing that Russia has tried to spin to give more reason for their involvement in Ukraine.
Talk about the political impact that this is having on your ministry. You operate Orphan's Promise in Kiev. Are you seeing day-to-day operations change? Is it becoming more complex? And you also have families, in my understanding, that are in Donetsk that are trying to adopt children. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I think for the most part that it's just added a tenseness. In Kiev, in other parts of Ukraine, daily life is going on as normal. People are going to work, people are going to school. But it just adds a sense of uncertainty of what's going to happen next, just constantly checking the news, checking what's going to happen. And I do have some personal friends that are in Donetsk adopting right now, and they said, for the most part, life is normal, other than seeing the roadblocks, seeing the military people. But they said at the orphanage, kids are playing, kids have no idea what's going on, and the orphanage is 15 miles from the Russian border. So it's that balance of it's like a super tense time, but yet life is continuing.
Do you, as an American, are you scared? I mean, I know you're away, you're in Kiev, the capital city, about 3 hours from the eastern border, but are you afraid?
I don't think I felt fear as much as anxiety, like a low grade of just checking the news, what's going to happen next, because we didn't see any of this coming. I mean, the last 4 months came out of what seemed to be nowhere. So life just changed in that what you thought was certain is suddenly uncertain. So I don't think I have fear, just a level of, okay, God, what's next?
And talk about you guys work at the office. There are mixed families, Russians that are married to Ukrainians. Is this tearing families apart today in Ukraine? Friction between husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, moms and dads?
Yeah, it has created division. Like you would not believe, people in our office have relatives in Russia that they can't even talk about the situation because it becomes so divisive. Russians, Christian or not, have a strong opinion in large about what's going on in Ukraine, and they do not see eye to eye for the most part with their Ukrainian brothers and sisters. So it has become a topic where if people want to stay harmonious in their families, we don't talk about what's going on politically.
How do Christians around the world, how does the United States, how do we pray for Ukraine and the situation there?
I think for praying for unity in the church, with the orphan situation, really just praying for God's protection over the kids, that they would not become caught in this battle, that they would not be the children in the middle, and that adoptions would go forth, and that ultimately the church would be unified in Ukraine.
Okay, terrific. It's a pleasure to have you
George.
here all the way from Ukraine.
Thank you.
Karen Springs of our Orphan's Promise CBN work in Ukraine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.